everybody. Welcome to our next game in our Summer of Spooks series. We're going to be playing Quietus with the author of the game, which is pretty exciting. I'm very excited to have Oli here to help lead me and Matthias through it. I would like to remind Oli I am just a grown adult baby who doesn't actually know how to play games. But yeah, we can just introduce ourselves, and then I'm going to turn it over to Oli to let him take control, and we will play his marvelous game. I'm Katie. I use she/her pronouns. You all know me. What about you, Matthias?
Hi, I'm Matthias. I use he/him pronouns.
And last but not least, Oli. What about you?
I am Oli Jeffrey. I am the designer of Quietus, and I use he/him pronouns.
Awesome. Yeah, if you want to take it away, explain what your game is, and any kind of information you think is pertinent, and then we can just get into it.
Yeah, great. Okay, so Quietus is a one-shot game. It's a horror game, but it's a melancholy horror game. So we're dealing with as much just horrific circumstances happening in the present and tragic backstories happening in the past. It's inspired by films like The Strangers and Oculus, and even going back to as far as the 70s to Don't Look Now. It's forged in the dark, which means the rules are inspired by John Harper's Blades in the Dark, although it's had to drift quite a bit in order to make it suitable for one-shot play, as we'll see in as the game progresses. So if you're, I suppose I should do a content warning or potential content warning that because we're dealing with both tragedy and horror, there could be upsetting backstory scenes and also descriptions of violence potentially. It's kind of hard to tell because we're making it all up as we go, but it's probably going to lean that way. So I guess we can get straight into character generation. Yeah.
I also want to add, just because you brought that up for the audience, we'll be using X and O cards in the background. Zoom has a private chat. We can communicate with each other. An audience, don't feel beholden to stay if something makes you uncomfortable. You can walk away. You don't have to watch if something triggers you or makes you uncomfortable. But yeah, you can go ahead.
Absolutely, yeah. So X card, open door policy. Absolutely. Great. So Quietus handles character generation and scenario creation with a series of questions, which I'll ask you now. Sometimes it will make sense for you to answer them individually. Sometimes it will make sense for you to answer them as a couple. But even when you're answering something about your question, you can get input from other people. But if it's specifically about your character, then you get the final say. So the first question, which is for both of you, is you're somewhere isolated. Where? Tell me about the place.
Did you have any place in mind, Matthias? Because I have a weird idea that I know nothing about and shouldn't suggest.
What do you mean you shouldn't suggest it?
I shouldn't suggest it because I don't know anything about logistics of it.
Okay, well, let's hear it. Let's see what it is.
What about on a sailboat in the middle of the ocean? Nothing around.
Yeah, okay, that could work.
Sure, yeah.
Just like maybe it's, I wouldn't say maybe like we're stranded, maybe, but there's like no.
Well, given some of the other questions that are coming up, you may.
We'll see.
Awesome, yeah. Awesome. Okay, cool.
So yeah, I'm good with the sailboat. You okay with the sailboat?
Yeah.
Matthias? Yeah, cool. Okay. So the next question is, why are you in such an isolated place?
Vacation.
Yeah, I think
holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. So and potentially holiday gone wrong if you are. Well, we'll get to that. But
if I'm potentially stranded.
Yeah. I'm kind of picturing you stranded, basically. Yeah. I've got a kind of an image of a smallish boat, kind of floating in the middle of the ocean with very little else in sight.
Yeah. Me too.
Like maybe we've actually run out of gas because modern sailboats have an actual
they've got like a backup engine, yeah.
Backup engine. and there are no winds, so we're like adrift or something. Yeah.
And the reason I know that modern sailboats have a backup engine is from Peppa Pig. So that's very tonally on form for like 3-year-old child's cartoons. Okay, so what is your relationship to each other?
Do you have anything in mind, Matthias? I'm free. I'm cool with anything.
I mean,
it could be siblings, friends, a couple, anything like that. Strangers.
Yeah.
If you were strangers, I'm not against it, but if you were strangers, why would you be on holiday together?
I'm just throwing out options here.
Yeah. No, not against it, but I'm just,
No.
I want to hear the story behind that.
I mean, I kind of like something like a honeymoon.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that too.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And we're about to get it in the feels, given that this is your honeymoon, because the next question is, why does it pain you to be here?
Do you want me to throw something out?
Yeah, feel free anytime.
I have a feeling it pains me because I have the feeling you only opted into this because you wanted to do me a favor.
Oh
no!
And now things have gone wrong.
Marriage.
Yes.
Oh.
Wow. Okay.
I like that a lot.
Okay. What would inspire so much sympathy that you would marry someone, though? Matthias, are you dying or something like that? Katie, why would your character marry?
I would see it as something that maybe they have known each other for a very long time and been close. And it was that type of thing where they sort of settled finally.
Yeah, okay.
It wasn't maybe what either of them wanted, but what they sort of convinced themselves they wanted because there was no one else.
Yeah, it's
what
not
about... Oh,
even,
sorry, Karen.
It's not even necessarily... it depends. It could be your first, but it's probably not my first marriage. Right?
Okay.
I was going to suggest that maybe you settle with each other because there was no one else, but now there is, and like when it's already too late.
I like that too. Yeah, I think that I like that. Yeah, that it sort of got to the wire where neither of them were confident enough to break it off.
Yeah. She had that. Yeah, you had the if we're both still single by the time we're 30, we'll get married kind of a thing. And then you met someone like just before when you'd already like arranged this. Nice. Okay, cool. So the next questions are, what's your name and what do you look like?
I think my name is... Just running through names in my head.
My name is Patrick.
Okay.
My name is Emma.
Patrick and Emma. Okie dokie. And what do the both of you look like?
I think Emma is very very petite and very mousy looking. There's nothing extraordinary about her at all. She's very plain. Wears very, very high prescription glasses, almost sort of like the Coke bottle kind of stereotypical glasses. And I think like she altogether, I mean, the word that would probably describe Emma most is just plain. She's got very dull brown hair, dull eyes, that kind of thing.
Okay, so maybe she has herself like a low self-image, which is why she had to settle. But then she found someone who kind of like sees her for who she is in this other person.
Yeah.
Is the other person male, female, MB?
I
think Patrick is he, him.
Oh, sorry, I meant the other person, as in the other man / woman / person?
I think that they're a woman. Yeah, I think
They're a
they
woman.
use she,
Okay.
her pronouns. Um,
Okay.
and I think it was a very sort of exploration of Emma's sexuality too. She didn't
Hmm.
expect to fall for someone else,
Yeah.
especially a woman.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Right, and we've kind of hinted at this already, but let's do some confirmation. Something went wrong yesterday. What was it?
Could it just be the wedding that went wrong? Just
Oh, fuck.
the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
point of just
Oh,
marrying you was just wrong.
did she try and what was your girlfriend's name? If she has a name.
Sarah.
Well, I mean, she does have a name. Sorry?
Sarah.
Sarah. Cool.
Yeah.
So did Sarah turn up at the wedding? Was she invited?
I don't think she was invited. I think she turned up like
Mhm.
hours before the wedding,
Mhm.
sort of giving Emma this window. If she wanted to stop, if she wanted to run, you have time. And
Yeah.
Emma just like ran it down to the wire. And Sarah had told her, like, I'll be, if you want to leave, I'll be here waiting for you. And Emma never showed up. She went along with marrying Patrick.
And does Patrick know?
That's what I wanted to ask. Like, do I know Sarah at all?
I think you know Sarah. I think Sarah's a mutual friend, which would probably be weird once she's not invited to our wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what about if Patrick invited her because he thought it was weird that she wasn't invited?
Oh, Patrick. Would that be something he did?
Yes. I think yeah, and I think she's maybe on, and only by a couple of years our junior, but she's actually working at the same company as I have, and it's like a junior to my position.
Okay.
Mhm.
But it's like brilliant as an employee. What could this be? What kind of? I think this is like, I think this is like a marketing agency or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
That could also give you a little bit of the word I'm looking for, not vulnerability, just like fear that you could lose your job to her or something. That kind of insecurity.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, she's much better than me and has been like outshining me. But I've not been admitting that to myself. Like that I haven't even noticed what's going on between you and her is very much part of the lies I'm telling myself.
Did you introduce us? Like, is it?
Yeah.
I think it's way more painful if you did, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Definitely
now I'm also 100% sure that we've actually I've actually shared kinky fantasies with you about her.
Oh, great!
Right, as if that could be a neat thing, right?
Yep.
Us three, right?
And what have you shared? Doubts about your relationship with Emma with her. Like she has sort of this inside look into our relationship.
Patrick, do you also think that Sarah is into you? I'm going to suggest that she's not. But do you think?
No, she's not. I've been fantasizing that, but I've also not. I've not at the workplace and stuff like this. I've been not making any advances or anything like that.
Okay, cool.
Completely, maybe too nice, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are down to our last couple of questions. So the penultimate question is: there should be someone else nearby, but there isn't. Where are they? And implicitly, who are they?
I mean, I think like we're stranded because I think we were supposed to go to this island where we can spend our honeymoon, and there's obviously someone who was supposed to receive us um, when we got there,
Yeah.
right? And there was no attendant there.
Oh, have you done like one of those trips where you just kind of like get ported to an abandoned, not abandoned, but like an island, which is a tiny
Super
island.
expensive, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of money on this. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think so. Did you go out there? Did you drive out there yourself?
Would it have made sense for like either Patrick or Emma to either know how to sail or have taken lessons so they, didn't have to have a sort of extra person on the boat?
think
the
so.
other thing I was thinking is that if you had to get boated out to an island, then the person could just never have turned up to take you back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or did you specifically want to be on a boat?
I that was just an idea for like, I guess, a vague setting. It doesn't have to be tied to the boat at all. No.
Cool. Okay. So I think it works then if you are you were dropped off there by like the tour company on this little boat. You kind of like sailed out there, and then they're meant to come and get you the next day, but they just never showed, and you're kind of stuck on an island.
Yeah.
With each other.
I like that.
And plenty of and too many awkward silences. Okay, and the very final question is, and depending on how comfortable you feel, you can answer this either in character or as yourself. What are you most afraid of?
I think Emma is most afraid of she's afraid of being alone. So like specifically in this situation, she's afraid that she will get stranded even more so by herself. But I think in like the broad sense of things, she's afraid that Patrick knows about her and Sarah, and that somehow she's going to end up without either of them.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Great. Okay, so, and what about Patrick?
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm afraid of that. I'm just I'm not worth it for Emma.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. So like an insecurity thing.
I'm the wrong choice for her, right? And yeah.
Okay, cool. So you've got kind of like maybe at work and in your relationship imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Right. So that's character creation done. I just learned on my laptop, which is why I looked like I was having a small earthquake there. So that's character creation. And that takes what would be the kind of the first act of the movie of this. That's all covered by that. So the first act of the movie would be establishing your relationship, establishing the kind of the deal between you and the relationship with Sarah, sorry. And then leaving you here. So imagine we're about half an hour into the movie, and we're going to pick up at the point where stuff starts going wrong. Worse, anyway, more wrong. So if you have a look over on the character keeper that we have, you'll see that you have scores for anxiety, despair, and hope. Each of you has a despair score separately, and failed or mixed results on the dice when we come to rolling. We'll add to that and make it raise, so it will raise 1 or 2 points at a time. If your despair ever gets to 5, then your character dies, and that it's not hit points. So it's not a case of you're getting more and more injured until they die. They can be absolutely fine, not necessarily, but they can be absolutely fine up until that point. But then at the minute that you hit 5 despair, your character will in some way die. And we will make that as sad and as scary as we can. The opposite side of despair is hope, and that is a shared score between you, so you can work together to raise your hope. There will be certain actions that you can take throughout, so it's not going to come up here, but the usual example that I give is searching through a drawer for the keys to the car that's going to let you escape from the killer. And I will tell you before you make the roll to see if you find them, that if you do find them, that is going to raise your hope. Again, if your hope ever hits 5, then or any surviving characters either escape or defeat the killer, as makes sense in the fiction. You've also got an anxiety score. Anxiety is roughly analogous to what stress was in Bleeds in the Dark. So that's a score that you can voluntarily raise in order to push yourself to do something which is called Reveal a Scar, which we'll go into in a bit more detail in a sec, and to help each other. If each of those will raise your anxiety by a different amount, and if your anxiety ever hits 10, then you are panicking. That's true both in the fiction and in the rules. So let's go into a little bit more about what that means. Most of the time, we're just going to be doing conversational stuff, back and forth, standard role-playing things. But if at any point you do something which is difficult or which could attract the killer's attention, something like that, then I'm going to ask you to make a roll. When you make a roll, you start off with one die, I should say, or a dice pool of 1 die. And that's just a normal 6-sided dice. Then you can get extra dice. You can get extra dice by pushing yourself. So that involves spending anxiety or like raising your anxiety in order to get an extra die. You can help the other player, but if you help the other player, then it costs you 1 anxiety to raise. You have to raise your anxiety by 1 in order to help. And that gives the other person another die. But if that person fails the die roll, then you are open to the same level of consequences that they are. And you can also do something which is called revealing a scar. When you reveal a scar, you can bring in another element or a side character, as makes sense in the fiction. And you can then use them to get bonus dice as well. But in order to do so, you have to raise your anxiety because of recalling the painful memories, but B, you have to tell me a sad story from your character's past that somehow relates to what you're trying to do now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, cool. The maximum number of dice that you can get is 3. And when you roll, you are looking for 6s primarily. So you only ever count the highest dice. 6 is a full success. 4 to 5 is a partial success. And a 1 to 3 is a failure. Much like Blades in the Dark, there are also levels of I've forgotten what the actual word is now, and that's bad because it's my game. Levels of difficulty, effectively, levels of harshness of consequence. So the metaphor that I use in the rules is you have to judge the tension of the world. There we go. That's what it is. So it's either going to be uneasy, tense, or desperate. And the further up that scale you get, the worse consequences are if you fail or get a mitigated success. When you panic, so when your anxiety hits 10, you can only attempt desperate rolls, which means that A, you're going to be panicking the fiction, but B, rules-wise, all the consequences are going to be worse. So it's like that last-minute death spiral that comes up often in the kind of movies that this is inspired by. And I think that's largely it for the minute. We'll go into more of the specifics of the rules as we go through. But do you have any questions about the rules before we kick off?
No.
No? Okay, great. So, how long have you been on this island? I assume they're meant to come back after like a day and not like a full day, like kind of like 6 hours kind of a thing. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that makes sense. We were sort of boated out here to have like a day in the sand on the beach, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, with like a super nice breakfast, all prepared and ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've gone out with like a hamper kind of a thing and a nice bucket with some champagne in it and stuff like that.
Yeah. Like,
which I imagine already eaten quite some time
It's
ago.
all pretty much used up.
yeah, for sure. And like we're both pretty like sunburned, even snorkeling, that kind of thing, you know, like waterlogged and like ready to go back.
Okay. And how late is the boat at this point?
At least 3 hours.
Yeah,
right?
I'm trying to think of a believable worry time. I would say about, 1 hour, it happens. But by 3 hours, we're freaking out a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the only way that you can tell it's 3 hours is by you've got your cell phones with you, or you mentioned snorkeling. So I think maybe one of you's got like a smartwatch, like one of those underwater smartwatches, performance ones.
Yeah, Patrick. That's what Patrick does.
Yes. Yeah. But the battery on that is already quite low because you weren't expected to be out here for as long as you have been already. And the battery on those things is terrible. So you can tell the exact time for the moment, but after that, you're going to have to rely on the sun, and that sun is going down a lot faster than you'd like.
Yeah.
And whilst you're sunburnt at the minute, you are under very clear skies. And whilst clear skies are very hot during the day, clear skies are very, very cold at night. And that's going to worry you as well, because I don't imagine I imagine you're just in your kind of like your summer clothes or you like your swimsuits or something.
Yeah, and we probably have like a blanket we sat on in the sand, but it's like it's thin. It's not a real. Yeah. It's maybe a towel or two, but nothing that would actually hold in warmth.
Yeah. How big is this island, do we think?
I would think it would make sense that you could probably traverse it within a couple of hours. Not like it's not huge. I think it's specifically made for like honeymooning couples to come and have some alone time, that kind of thing.
Yeah. But it's not sort of like you can't see from one side of it to the other.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Okay, so it's about 3 hours past when the boat was meant to pick you up. How long has it been since you last spoke to each other? Are you speaking right now? It's a leading question, but the answer can be that you're in the midst of speaking right now.
I think I'm like, and there's like this little pier where the boat is supposed to come.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep like going out there as if that would make any difference. And looking, there's probably like a little bit of shade we can find that looks over the pier, right? But but I keep going out there and look out to the sea.
Yeah. Have you said that you can traverse the island in a couple of hours? Have you?
No, at least Patrick would have said no. Like, what if the boat comes?
Yeah, I don't think during the day Emma would have gone too far from Patrick. Like she wouldn't wanted to have. In her mind, like I think even though they've been told the island is relatively small, she's scared of getting lost and doesn't want to like be left somewhere if the boat was to come. So she's just at the beginning of the pier, I think, still sort of sitting in the sand with her things, just like with her legs up, curled up to her chest, just sort of watching and waiting, but like I think slowly getting annoyed.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And you've got this kind of pit in your stomach right now because all you can think about is Sarah at the wedding, and that she just not the ultimatum, but just I suppose the offer that she gave before you went off and married Patrick. What were her actual last words to you?
I think her actual last words were, oh goodness, were, figure out what you want and then let me know. And then that's
Okay.
sort of where she left it. I think she
Okay, cool.
expected Emma to come to her fully, and Emma didn't.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So it's been a couple hours. Patrick, you still have a kind of a glass of slightly warm champagne in your hand now. You notice that that Emma is sitting and looking troubled and frustrated, but that it's kind of been her mood since the whole day. Like during the wedding, she was all smiles, and there was an almost like performative aspect to it because you're getting married. You know, everyone has the big smile, even though you're mostly very, very nervous, even if it's going perfectly. But she has been off all today. And as much as you keep staring out at that, out from that pier and waiting for that boat to turn up, it's not coming, and you keep glancing back at her. What do you do?
I think this is like the third time or so that I've like returned to her, but the other two times I didn't really say much. Like maybe more something that's probably gonna come soon now. And then when like the silence got too long and too tense, I walked out again, and now I return and I think I say, oh yeah, I'm trying to make, yeah, I'm well, this is not how we imagined this, is it?
I think there's like a long, very uncomfortable pause before Emma looks up at you, and she just shakes her head. This was the last thing I expected, actually.
Though you're out on an island, you're not that far out from the mainland. I think that you can probably kind of see the mainland in the distance. And you are it's too far for you to swim, because neither of you are great swimmers, but it's you know, you can see it off on the horizon. It's not just like a completely blank horizon. It's maybe a few miles. But you are near enough to still get a little bit of cell reception. And Emma, you get a text which kind of beeps boop, boop, in your pocket.
Yeah, I think she pulls it out quickly, thinking that maybe it's, you know, the boating people updating her that something's happened. Yeah.
It's from Sarah.
Oh yeah, when she sees the name on the screen, you know, before she unlocks her phone, she sort of pauses, and her eyes just go to Patrick for just a split second, but then she unlocks her phone to read the message.
Okay, Patrick, what?
I'm like, yeah, that's weird. Why would they message you? I left them my number.
I gave them
Assuming
my number.
it's about people, right? Yeah.
I gave them my number as well.
Oh. The message, Emma says, it looks like you've chosen. Sorry, I wasn't enough. Patrick. Oh. Sorry, carry on.
I was going to say, I think she hesitates for a moment, but she deletes the message.
Okay. Patrick, what are you doing right now?
So what are they saying? Are they coming?
They just said they're having difficulties.
Can I spot that she's lying?
Yeah, let's go for a roll there. And I think that's probably just going to be an uneasy roll, which is the lowest level of tension. So you start off with 1 die in your dice pool. You can add dice by getting help, which, given that this is sort of PvP, but we're probably not going to, you can do it by revealing a scar, which might be a good time to bring that in, like a previous time that you've spotted her lying, something like that, or previous time that she's hidden a text like that, and then you've managed to see it. That could get you an extra die. Pushing yourself, you can't do in an uneasy situation. You can only do that in a tense or desperate situation.
Okay. I think this is me. Yeah. I want to introduce a scar, and I think this is actually like last year's autumn, and maybe we like fade over because we're focusing on Patrick's face, on my face, right? And then we're like suddenly in the in like a park up on a hill where there's like a little bench. It's a little aside from the main walkway, and I'm on one knee proposing to Emma.
Okay.
And I think it's it's Emma's reaction that's kind of the scar here, because if that's all right with you, Katie, alter or say if you think it went a little different. But for Patrick, it was the like, Emma, you like throwing your hands up to your mouth and not going yes or no, right? Going, are you serious? And at first this comes across as, oh, this is what a pleasant surprise. And maybe even like after a pause, it's us then hugging, but it's you never actually having had like really said yes.
Yeah, and I think we get the thing of Emma, you're in the hug, but your eyes are open and you're kind of like looking out, kind of like, oh shit.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think it was more of a like, are you serious? That kind of like a questioning, like doesn't really give an answer, but immediately in over her head.
Okay, cool. So Matthias, you can now roll with 2 dice. You want to get 6s or middling result of a 4 to 5. There's no crit success in this because crit success is not very horror specific. But so you're just looking for your highest die.
It's 2 4s.
2 4s. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you see the text just before Emma deletes it, and you see that it was Sarah's name there. But you're kind of oblivious as to why she would have deleted it. Like, you're not putting 2 and 2 together yet. Yeah. So you've kind of caught her in the lie, but you don't know why she would be lying. Also, at that point, clearly Emma was standing in the one part of the island where you can get cell reception, because actually now you looked at it, that message was from quite a while ago, Emma. And Matthias, your smartwatch gets the beep as well. And you've got an email from the shipping company. So you're kind of like wondering about this, and then you get immediately distracted.
Yeah, and it starts like trying to scroll through the email message with just an email is way too big for a small smartwatch, right? They're horrible like that. Yeah. So
and because you've not gotten in a while, like a bunch come through at once, and you're trying to get away from like the spam messages to just get back to that one message was important. But you do see in a couple of seconds before your phone dies that, before your watch dies, I should say, that the message says, leaving now, with you in an hour. And that was sent maybe like 4 hours ago.
I think I'm like, oh, wait, they're leaving in an hour. Wait, that's for wait. Oh no, come on, not now.
I told you should have got an extra battery for that.
And I told you they don't sell extra batteries. That's not how they work.
That seems like a very bad marketing idea.
When the boat dropped you off, it dropped you off at this pier. But are you sure that this is the pier that they said that they would pick you up from? Because it then drove off to another island. There was another, like one other couple, say, on the boat with you, and they kind of drove off to another island. So were they maybe coming from a different direction, perhaps?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we've been waiting here super long. Maybe we should look if there's maybe there's even a phone line here. Who knows, right? Maybe we should just go see.
You didn't go to the other side of the island, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not carrying all of this stuff to the other side of the island. Do you want to leave it here?
I mean,
who's going to steal it?
Yeah. Who's going to care about that basket anyway? I think I like the last little drops of champagne that are warm and stale. I let them drip into the sand.
Okay, so how are you planning on getting to the other side of the island? Are you gonna circle around the kind of the beach areas that will? I mean, you stand a less chance of getting lost, but it's going to be slower. Maybe the boat leaves without you, or are you going to cut through the small woodland that's kind of at the center of the island? There's like a significant. I don't know, what would you call like a small, like a collection of trees which is big enough to like obscure stuff, but not big enough to be like a wood.
And it doesn't look like there's no path there or anything. It's just woodland.
No, it's just like a bunch of palm trees, basically. Yeah.
Eddie, what would you think in our weird little whatever this relationship is? Is in these kind of situations, is like one of us who usually takes the lead in this, or?
I think Patrick is. I think Emma sort of defers to Patrick just because she doesn't want to cause any ripples or any kind of conflict. So she's sort of
and Patrick thinks, yes, this is like it's kind of a physical conflict. I'm supposed to be the one to take the lead here, right? So I think I say, well, let's circle around. Maybe there's another pier, and it's not even on the whole other side.
Yeah, all right. If you think that's the best way, and she'll just get up and dust the sand off of her, and I think just wait until Patrick takes the lead physically before she follows behind him.
Okay, cool. So let's go for another roll there as you're searching for another pier. Who wants to roll this one? Katie, did you want to roll this as Patrick? Cool.
Yeah, I can.
I can help, right? That kind of makes sense if I'm actually taking the lead.
Yes,
maybe.
Does, yeah. Also, I am a bad game designer and forgot to tell you to raise your anxiety. So
I want to try
when you revealed that scar, that should have raised your anxiety. Let me just find the amount. Okay, I believe that raises it by 2.
Mm-hmm. And helping is another 1, right?
Helping is another 1, yeah. So, Patrick, your anxiety should be at 3.
Yep.
So that's 2 dice, correct, that I'm rolling?
Yes. And this is going to be an uneasy roll as well.
Okay, I rolled a 4 and a 3, so 1 success.
A 4 and a 3. Okay, cool. So you can get a lesser version of what you were looking for, or you can try and push on a tense roll and try again.
I think just starting out, we'll go with a lesser version.
You go with a lesser version. Okay, cool. So you're walking around for a little while, and you don't see another pier. But what you do see is the boat, and the boat is just kind of like floating there on the side.
Is that looks like the boat we came with?
Yeah,
It's
floating there.
It's and it's not docked. It's like a significant swim out. What do you do?
I think Emma goes to like sort of the edge of the beach, and is just sort of yelling over because there's we said it's not windy, so she hopes that maybe someone would hear her, just sort of yelling out to them like, "Hello, anyone there?" Just trying to get someone's attention. Hopefully, if there's anyone on that boat.
This is perfect because in social situations you always take the lead.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So as you get a little bit closer, you can see that there's someone on the boat. You can't really see what they're doing. They're too far for you to notice that. But let's go for another roll as you try and get their attention.
Do I take anxiety for that previous roll?
You wouldn't take any anxiety for that previous roll. No, you would take anxiety if you pushed yourself or if you
did a scar.
if you scar.
Cool.
Yeah.
Um.
I'm going to say this is a tense roll because it's an unusual situation you're in. No.
Yeah, I think she does. Yeah, I think she just sort of stands there trying to get their attention, just hopping up and down, yelling, that kind of thing. I'm gonna roll.
Are you just going to go with the 1 die?
Yeah, I rolled a 4, so I'm okay with that.
You rolled a 4. Okay. So it's a tense result. So you achieve a lesser version of what you're trying to achieve, or suffer a consequence. Okay. Yeah. So you shout out, and the lesser version that you get is whoever was on that boat would have definitely heard you, and they're not moving. And instead of a consequence, because it doesn't really make sense to give you one now, I'm going to take a point of dread, and dread is a currency that I can use to do bad things later on.
Yeah.
You can leave it there, or you can push on at a. You can attempt a desperate roll if it makes sense in the fiction, which I don't think it does necessarily, unless you.
Yeah, I think she's slowly realizing, like, oh, they're not responding, and she just, Patrick, do you see? Do you see this?
And I haven't walked onto the pier or anything. I've stayed a little back. What's?
There's someone there. They're not moving. And she's still yelling intermittently, I think. I'm sort of unable to she realizes, I think, vaguely what's going on, but she isn't accepting it.
The figure is not moving, or is it?
Yeah, the figure that she sees isn't moving.
Yeah, but that's definitely like our boat, right?
I think so.
Okay.
Could they be just? I don't know.
This
Out.
It's kind of far. I wish I had like. I wasn't expecting that. I wish I had taken the from the snorkeling. What do you call those?
The scuba gear.
Yeah, the scuba gear. At least like, but I guess and.
Well, one of you could stay with the boat and make sure that it's all okay, whilst the other one goes back to get the scuba gear.
I was thinking someone would suggest that, and I don't like it. She's like looking at Patrick, and she's like, "Go out there. You can. It's not that far. You can make it."
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess so.
I'll stay here. I'm not going anywhere. Just...
And yeah, like
So are you going to swim out there, Patrick?
Yeah. So I'm basically stripping into I think there's this moment where I'm like stripping, so only I have only my boxer shorts on, right? And then I'm going to take the plunge and jump into the sea from the pier. And
okay, let's have a roll to see how that goes. You got this is going to be a tense roll. And you start with 1 die. Doesn't really make sense for Emma to be helping you at this point. So you could either push yourself, which kind of makes sense, or you could introduce a scar.
Yeah.
Pushing yourself is a variable amount of anxiety it raises you by.
That variable in what manner? Like the roll is
on a tense roll, it is 1d6.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm going to push myself.
Okay.
So
it's
that
actually,
I have 2 dice.
It's actually less on a desperate roll because when you take it on a tense roll, you're kind of like going into fight or flight mode. You're kind of Okay.
Yeah, but in this moment, this is like, okay, there's actually a physical goal I can get to, and I think it makes sense to.
Yeah, I think so too.
Pushing myself. So the roll is, it's a 6.
It's a 6. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And 1d6 anxiety.
1d6 right? Anxiety. Yeah.
That's 4 anxiety.
That's 4 anxiety, which takes you up to 7. Okay, so you plunge into the water, and you did a little bit of snorkeling, as you said earlier, but it didn't go very well. And you're going out further than you've gone before, and you can kind of feel the waves and the kind of the tides that are dragging you one way or another. You go under at one point and then just kind of bring yourself back up, and it's very much outside of your wheelhouse. Like you do the occasional lap at the swimming pool, but you're not a big sea swimmer, and you get to the boat and you're just kind of like hanging on, kind of like breathing for dear life. What do you do when you get there?
I think like with like the last piece of exertion, try to pull myself up on the boat, and it's really at the point already where I'm like, you know that feeling when your muscles start failing, right? When, like, why are they not pulling anymore? But I try to roll onto the boat basically.
Okay, cool. So you pull yourself up onto the boat with just that last little bit of energy, and as soon as you're on there, you slip again and just kind of like crash out on the boat. And when you look and see what you slipped on, there is just a shitload of blood.
Oh no!
And as we have been watching Patrick go out to swim further and further out from Katie's point of view, Katie's looking at Emma is looking out at the boat further out, so she has her back to the wood, and we can see walking down from the wood a figure walking down the beach towards her.
Oh.
And Emma, you hear from behind yourself, you're yelling. It was very loud. You woke me up.
I think this you've zoomed in on, which is horrible in hindsight. Emma watching Patrick sort of slip and fall and sort of hanging her head in shame that he's like slipping and falling when he's supposed to be handling something. And then she hears that voice and just slowly, doesn't fully turn around. She just slowly like cranes her neck to look at the person who's speaking to her.
Yeah, there's a guy there. You kind of place him at, it's kind of hard to place an age, probably somewhere in his mid-30s, but aged badly because of sun damage to the skin. He kind of just looks like a holiday maker, like a tourist, except he's bald, but it's a baldness that you can see it's shaved, and it's a couple of days' growth, but also some nicks and cuts all over his head, so it looks like it's quite clumsily done. And same with his beard. And he's filthy, actually. Like, he looks like someone who hasn't washed in quite some time.
I'm sorry. Sir, we were...
You were what? You were yelling. You woke me up.
I was trying to get the attention of whoever was out on that boat. I'm sorry.
What boat?
She just doesn't take her eyes off of him, but slowly motions toward the boat in the water.
Well, he didn't ought to be there at all. The pier's around that way.
He's not moving. My husband's checking it out.
Your husband's here?
Yeah. He's going to the boat.
When we go say hello?
I'm sure he'll be back in a moment. I think she's backing up, not thinking that she's she's going to go into the water.
Yeah, and you don't realize that you're backing up, or
Yeah.
you don't realize quite how much you're backing up until you feel that coldness on your that cold wetness on your feet.
Yeah.
And you realize you're kind of like ankle deep, and the waves are lapping up and down, and that's the only noise that you can really hear. And there's just this guy standing in front of you, just kind of looking.
She's very nervous and doesn't really know what to do in this situation. I'm going to we can wait. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, what else can you do? There's nothing else here, right?
Uh-huh.
Just peace and quiet, and you and me and your husband and that man over in the boat.
Yeah, she's turning to look back at the boat to see if she sees Patrick.
Okay, so Patrick, on the boat with you, what are you doing? You've just slipped over and seen a load of blood.
Yeah, right. When you do that, and I see the blood, and then I try to scoot backwards on my butt,
Yeah.
and and my hand touches something wet as well and sticky, and I pull that up, and that's how I realize that there's blood everywhere.
Yeah.
And I try to back up against something behind me so that I can stand up.
Yeah.
And try to have take the sight in and.
Okay, and yeah, you grab backwards to grab onto something, and you feel like you've grabbed onto a person. You recognize that you're expecting you're expecting to grab onto something hard. You're expecting to grab onto like the side of the boat or like part of the. I want to say, I know it's not steering wheel, the boat steering wheel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
And instead you grab onto flesh, and that's surprising first of all, and you kind of like you're not expecting any give. But two things strike you before you turn around. First of which is it's cold. Second of which is your finger has not just the give of flesh, but has gone in. And your finger is inside this person.
Yeah, and I slowly turn and raise my hand off of whatever I've grabbed hold on to, and I feel it slipping out again.
Yeah,
and like
it's a little like release of pressure, like a little.
Yeah, and like I get all the sensation, but I'm not like, my brain is not believing what's happening.
Yeah. Are you turning around and looking?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm just going to remind everyone that we have the X card on the table because I'm about to do some gross description. So feel free to tell me to stop, basically. So you turn around, and it is it's the guy that drove you out this morning, that sailed you out this morning. What did he look like?
It's someone who's pretty sinewy, lanky, like weather burned, and yeah, pretty muscular and fit, actually.
Okay, cool. What color hair did he have? Did he have a beard? Did he have a mustache? Anything like that? What color was his eyes?
His eyes were brown, and he had like dark blonde hair.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, you remember that his eyes were brown because he no longer has any, and his jaw has been ripped downwards, like further than it should go, kind of like a snake, but being pulled like nearly off, and it's kind of hanging down. So he kind of looks for all the world like Edward Munch's The Scream, which is appropriate because I imagine you're probably about to scream, unless you don't want to.
No, I do scream, and it's like this weird mix between like a panicked scream and a trying to find a voice, right?
Yeah, like that nightmare scream where you kind of know you're in a nightmare, and that if you can scream, you'll wake up, and it's just kind of like trying to choke it out.
Yeah.
And then you finally do scream, and that's at the point that Emma, you look away. Well, do you?
I think she's been looking between the boat and the stranger, but if she hears Patrick scream, she's immediately her neck would snap that direction, looking. Yeah.
Okay, cool. You scream, you look away, and as soon as you look away, you feel the guy is right behind you, and you feel something cold pressed against your back. Is that your husband screaming like that? Is that your man screaming like that? Is that the sort of noise that a man makes?
She's frozen, terrified. And I think she tries to sort of, stutter out an answer, and all that's there is sort of like just air and little noises. Before she manages to just sit out. Please don't hurt me.
What do you think makes a grown man make a sound like that? What do you think you found? What do you think he saw?
I don't know. I don't know.
How do you think it smelled out in the hot sun all today? I bet it didn't smell good.
I'm
You ever
not
been to an abattoir?
She's just shaking her head.
Do you eat meat?
Yeah, yes.
But you've never been to an abattoir.
No.
How can you eat something if you can't kill it yourself?
I don't know. What do you want? What what are you doing? What do you want?
No, those are two different questions. What I'm doing is I'm holding a knife to your back. What I want? I don't know. Maybe I want you to run. Maybe I want you to stop me. Maybe I want to hear some more of those screams. What are you doing?
Oh God. I think she's going to she's going to she's not going to fight. I think she's going to scream out for Patrick.
Okay.
In her mind, fighting is the stupidest choice she could make right now with a knife to her back.
Yeah, I mean you're not in a great situation.
Yeah, exactly. Like he completely has the jump on her. She has no upper hand.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Patrick, what are you doing on the boat?
Trying to get away from this person.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And you do hear Emma scream, "Patrick!" from the other end.
I think I slip, but catch myself on the railing, right? And like there's this moment that's actually helpful because it's something from somewhere else, from outside, right? Before I like fully register who must be like that's Emma that's screaming, and I look out back towards the beach. And as soon as I recognize that Emma's screaming, I think I try to find the how do you operate this thing? Like, is there a key in the ignition or something like that, right? That panic thing. I'm going, like trying to ignore that figure in the periphery of my vision.
Yeah,
sitting there staring at me with their.
I think this seems like a pretty desperate role. So
yes.
You start off with 1 dice. Are you gonna? You could push yourself, and the maximum that you'll push yourself to is 10 because it's a D3 if you're pushing yourself on a desperate roll. But that could push you immediately to 10. After which point you can only make desperate rolls.
Yeah.
Also, it's a good opportunity to reveal a scar. So if there's any tragic boating stories that you can tell us. We managed to tell a sad story about a rock in one of these sessions, so I'm sure you can tell me a sad boating story.
Who doesn't have a sad boating story in their past?
Oh yeah, I've got something. And this is gonna like a scar would give me another die here.
It gives you another die as well.
Yeah. I think the this is a childhood story, and I think it kind of relates to boats, but it relates more to. This is horrible to say to Emma's situation. It's it's on vacation as a kid on holiday. I think it's actually like it's not a tropical. It's more like on the Atlantic coast or something like that,
Yeah.
right? But it was in the summer, so nice weather and all that kind of stuff, and with family.
Yeah, I'm picturing kind of like a big lake rather than an ocean, probably.
Yeah, and it was kind of like with probably my parents were there, but with like uncle and aunt, and we had gone fishing during the day, and my uncle caught this huge. I don't know much about fish, so I can't tell you what but really a huge one, right?
Yeah.
And that was brought home and like put into the tub first and shown, and like I gave it a name, and then I went off to play outside, and then we were called back in for dinner, and then it was like beautifully roasted and prepared, but with the head still, right? Still for me recognizable.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus! Okay, that is horrible.
And I think I was, as a kid, I just froze. And probably threw the cutlery on my plate and like just ran crying away.
Cool. I think that is more than enough to get an extra die. So that is 2 dice, and your anxiety raises to 9.
Dear God.
1 more point of anxiety, and you will be panicking.
Yeah.
Which I think in this situation actually kind of makes sense.
Yes.
But it's also not great for your character survival rate.
It's 2 4s again.
2 4s. Okay. And that's for a desperate roll. So you achieve what you set out to do, but the GM takes 2 points of dread. So I'm going to take those now. Once I get to 4 points of dread, I can raise your despair by 1. And you either suffer a severe consequence or raise your despair track by 1, and it is your choice. So which do you want to do?
Well, I think it's raise the despair by 1.
Raise the despair by 1. I think that makes sense in these circumstances, yeah. Okay.
Like, I don't think...
you have to... Yeah, okay, cool. So you do remember the fishing trip, and you remember watching your dad start the boat up and everything. You're kind of like, okay, I know this. Try not to look at the body over there. I know this. He has no eyes. I know this. And you get it working, and you start heading in. The man says, Emma, look at that. Do you think he's going to run? Do you think he's going to come for you?
I hope he comes for me.
I hope he does too. Let's give him something to chase. Come with me. And he kind of grabs you by the neck and starts pushing you back towards the woods. What do you do?
I think she's going to try to fight and get enough to get out of his hold that she can run.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So that is definitely a desperate roll. So you start off with 1 die. You can push yourself, which I think makes perfect sense here.
And I'd like to do a scar if I could.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think there is this time in her life, we see this scene about maybe 5 years ago, where she's walking home one night late, I think after a night out with friends, a little drunk, and I think that she's accosted in the alleyway and mugged, and pretty hurt, like pretty beat up, but not in a way that it doesn't cost her life or anything. Her purse gets stolen, and it sends her into sort of this like fear spiral where she goes to therapy and she starts taking sort of self-defense lessons, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And I think that's exactly what her mind goes back to.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I think that's enough to get a die. What did the mugger say to you before he struck you?
No one's going to help you. You're all alone.
Okay, cool. Right, so are you pushing yourself as well?
Yes, I am going to push myself.
Okay, so that is 2 anxiety for the scar, and that is a D3 anxiety for pushing yourself.
Yes. I will roll that anxiety. Rolled a 2.
You rolled a 2. Okay, so that is 4 overall. And then you get to roll 3 dice on trying to get away from this guy.
A 6,
and I think
a 4, and a 2.
Nice. Okay, and I was just about to say, and this will raise your hope by 1 as well. And I think getting the boat started as well. I'm tremendously bad in my own game at remembering what sort of roll should grant hope. So I'm gonna say that between the 2 of you, you have 2 hope. Okay, so yeah. So what do you do? How do you get away?
I think she just, for a split second, her mind goes from being mugged to what she learned from being mugged, and she slams her elbow back into like his ribs. And the moment his grip is loose, she wriggles free, and I think she's going to run toward the wooded area.
Okay, cool. Right, Patrick, you see this happen. You see Emma start rushing forward towards the woods. You see this guy temporarily winded, and you are bringing the ship in far faster than it should be coming in, and you have to land it. I assume you are driving it.
Yeah, that's where the despair came from, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Definitely.
Okay, so let's have a roll and see if you can land that. Okay.
And I'm just gonna do this straight 1d6. That's a 3.
That's a 3. Okay, cool. So you don't achieve what you set out to do. You suffer severe consequence. You raise your despair by 1, and I get 2 points of dread. So
I'm beaching this boat.
So you are, so you try and stop it outside of the thing, but you hit a rock before you even get there. So you're actually doing pretty well if there wasn't a big ass rock there that you didn't know was there, and it just completely rips into the boat. And I think that is going to be the consequences. The boat is no longer seaworthy and starts sinking. But it's starting sinking near enough to the shore that it doesn't really matter. It's more taking on water than it is sinking. So your despair is at 2. My dread is at 5, and Katie, I am going to use that to raise Emma's despair, by 1, as you are running into the woods. And I think you are kind of you're thrown aside, and it takes you a few seconds to recover. So Emma is running into the woods. What are you doing once you make the tree line?
Oh gosh. I think she's in that sort of moment of adrenaline, like fight and flight, where she's not looking behind her. So she doesn't even know if this person is following her. She doesn't know if Patrick is behind her. She's probably heard the commotion of the boat being beached. I imagine that would be loud enough to hear. But I don't think it's stopping her. She is just trying to find a very heavy thicket of like bush or tree or something to hide, because she wants her goal, I think, is to find a big stick, something hefty enough that she could try to defend herself with.
Okay, are you concentrating on hiding, or are you concentrating on trying to find a weapon?
Oh yeah. I think she's gonna hide first.
She's going to hide first. Okay. And I think as in the imaginary movie version of this, with you said you weren't looking back to see if the person was chasing you or not.
She's straight ahead. So
I think we can see that the camera is done to kind of like directly on your face, like it would be attached to the actor playing you. And as you kind of like bob in and out of the shot, we can see the guy walking up the beach behind you when you're not covering him, basically, because he's further off. You make it to the tree line, and you are looking for somewhere to hide. So let's make I think this is going to be a tense roll, because you're away from the immediate danger. So you've got 1 die on a tense roll. You bring in any other dice?
No. I'm just going to roll this one straight.
Okay, cool. Let's see how it goes.
I rolled a 3.
You rolled a 3. Okay, cool. So you don't achieve what you set out to get, and either suffer a severe consequence, or take 2 dread, or increase their despair track by 1. So do you want to take the... I don't think a consequence makes sense here, so I think it would be more dread. Or do you want to take the despair?
I'll take... Are you cool with taking the dread, Matthias?
Sure. give Oli more things to hurt us.
Why not?
Okay. Cool. Yeah, effectively that means that it's a slower build, but I can kind of choose where it goes. Okay, so you're looking around, and you can't see because you've gone through the tree line, and it's getting the sun is kind of going down over the horizon now. But you can hear the guy walking towards you, and he's getting pretty damn close. So you can try a different approach with a different tense roll, or you can keep trying at a desperate roll.
I think
you could maybe give up on... Oh, sorry.
I think if she can't find somewhere to dip into to like hide and let him lose, scent of her, she's going to... Her next plan would be to try to find a stick. She's going to try to, arm herself.
Yeah. So I think mechanically and fictionally that makes sense. That's another tense roll.
All right. And I would like to push myself for this one.
Okay, so that is a D6 of anxiety.
That's a 3.
That's a 3. That's not too bad. So that takes you up to 7. And you get to roll with 2 dice to try and find a big ass stick.
2 and a 6.
2 and a 6. So that's a 6. So yeah, you find you're looking around for a
substantial branch.
Yeah.
She can have a fighting chance with.
Yeah, and you can't see any. So you're immediately looking for just like a big ass branch that you can club this guy with.
Rock, something.
Yeah, you're looking, you can't see anything, and you're just like going through this kind of like brush on the floor, and you're like, God damn it, where is it? And then you see that there is, and again, this should have raised your hope. So let's get 3 on that hope. You can see that there is a axe on the floor, which has been used for chopping wood recently.
Yeah, she's grabbing that.
Yeah. So you don't know really what to do with an axe. Well, I mean, yeah, okay. You swing it and you hit, and put pointy end in.
It works for her. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's looking desperate until it's suddenly not, and then
She
do you think you can...
with the axe in her hands? I think she's just turned. She's a little bit more confident to stand her ground. I think she's still trying in the process of getting away, but she's not in this hurried rush anymore. She's more of a like power walking. She's trying to dip through these trees. She doesn't want to have to face him if she doesn't have to, but she feels a little bit better.
Yeah. Are you looking back to see if he's there?
Yeah, she finally is.
Okay, cool. You look back and he is. And he's maybe no more than about 30 feet away. Just kind of standing by a tree, and he was like, so that's not a gun, that's not a taser, that's an axe.
I know what it is.
Point being, what do you think the reach on that thing is? 5 feet? Do you think you can get to me before I get to you? What do you think the odds are?
Why don't we find out? And then she's going to run.
Towards him or away from him?
Away.
Away. Okay, cool. Let's cut back to Patrick on the boat. Patrick, you come to on the boat. You've been out for maybe like 10 seconds, like an actual amount of head trauma time, not like a movie amount of head trauma time.
Yeah.
And yeah, you were kind of like conscious for like semi-conscious for a few of those, and you can pick yourself up. What are you doing? You're in a boat that is taking on water on the edge of the beach.
Yeah. So I think this is the situation where like I'm this close to panicking.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm scared. But I don't see anything to act upon right away. So this is when Patrick becomes very careful, bringing the boat in and like watching watching the tree line, and like now with careful speed maneuvering the boat back in and then getting off.
Oh, the boat is stuck.
Oh, the boat is stuck. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's up on that rock. And
yeah.
But
you could be scanning the tree line to try and see where either Emma or this guy, whoever he is, are.
Yeah, but I think I'm already like getting myself ready to like lower myself into the water.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I think you're kind of like wading through those last kind of like 3 feet of water up to the beach. What's your plan from there?
To spot signs where they ran off to.
Okay, yeah, I think that's fair. It's a beach, and you're pretty much the only people there, so I think it's reasonable that you would be able to see that sort of thing, disturb sand. So let's make a roll. That is going to be just a tense roll, I think.
Yeah. I'm just gonna roll it straight again.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 3 again.
That's a 3 again. Okay, cool. So are you going to take the consequence or are you going to take the consequence or increase your despair by 1?
I think I'm going to take the despair because like I think maybe the I can see it in the sand clearly, but once inside the brush, right, I'm like I have no idea where they went. And I start like looking and searching like in random direction. Yeah. Stumbling through the woods. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, and that actually makes sense mechanically as well because you can try another approach now. So you've tracked them as far as the tree line, and then once you get there, like there's still sand, but it's not like deep sand.
Yeah.
So you've gone into like more dune or something. You can no longer see the footprints. So you can either take a different approach at another tense roll, or you can press on at a desperate roll, which I guess would be something like, kind of running through the woods, screaming for Emma.
I think that's what I would start to do. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I think that's going to be a desperate roll. Are you bringing in any extra dice? If you do bring in any dice, you're going to go to panic.
Nope. Just 1d6. It's a 2.
You got a 2.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Sorry, was that your roll to see how much your anxiety went up by, or
no? This was
that was your roll. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you just went with the 1 dice. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Oh, no.
You don't achieve what you set out to do. You suffer a severe consequence. You raise the despair track by 1, and I get 2 points of dread. So, and it's going to be 5. Your despair track is at 4. So you're running through the word shouting What are you saying as you're running through shouting?
I'm just shouting, Emma, Emma, Emma.
And we cut to a shot of the man watching Emma run off, and then hearing you screaming, and he kind of like look back towards you and start heading towards you instead.
Damn it.
Cut back to Emma. You are rushing through the forest, the little wooded area, and it's a little while before you realise you can't hear him chasing you anymore, because you've maybe you stop for a second to look back and check, and he's gone. He's not there anymore. And that's almost worse, because at least when you knew where he was, you knew where he was.
Yeah.
Now he could be anywhere.
Can I hear Patrick yelling for me?
Yes, you can.
All right. Oh God. I think Emma is. Would I have a sense of how close to, like, from the wooded area I am to where we were originally, like where we left our stuff?
Let's roll an easy roll.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna roll a straight roll just to see.
Yeah, because you can't really, nothing really goes super wrong on an easy roll.
I rolled a 6.
You rolled a 6. Okay, so yes, your Girl Scouting experience comes back to you, and yeah, you think you're not too far, because you walked maybe, I don't know, like 15 minutes before you came upon the boat around, and because you have now gone kind of up and directly right, it's even close. Well, you've gone directly up, and now if you were to go directly right, it's even closer. So you reckon you can make it back to the pier where the rest of your stuff is?
Okay, so she doesn't know where this stranger is or where Patrick is, but in the back of her mind, she has some hope that Patrick can defend himself and at least hide long enough to, if the man is looking for Patrick, he can at least hide long enough to, prolong this. She is going to run out of the woods to the edge of the dock, to that spot where she got service on her cell phone.
Yeah.
And
okay.
She is going to just, I guess quickly try to find the number for the boating agency or something in her phone or her emails, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I think there is going to be a tense roll to see if you can get back there and get that signal. You going to bring in any extra dice?
I'm trying to think. I'll push myself. This is sort of important to her, so I'll push myself.
Okay, cool.
Is that a D6 or a D3?
That is a D6.
Just a 2, so I'm at a 9 anxiety. That's not bad.
No, that's good.
That's equal.
And kind of makes sense. And what do you get on your bowl?
6 and a 5. 2 successes.
6 and a 5. Okay, cool. So you burst out and you kind of see the pier and and all of like your hamper of food and champagne and everything's still left there, and it's kind of like this little part of the island has no idea what's going on elsewhere, and you're going through your phone trying to find the number for the thing, and it starts ringing, and the name Sarah is coming up on the thing, and we will cut back to you, Patrick. Patrick is on currently 4 despair, and it is worth me noting at this point that the final bit of despair, which would take you to 5 and kill you, I can't do that by raising via dread. That has to be on a roll.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going out and shouting for Emma, shouting through. You're just kind of like rushing through the woods, not looking where you're going really. And then you kind of just turn, and as you turn, the stranger's there.
Oh no.
What the hell? Who are you? Where's Emma?
She's on the island somewhere. What's your name? I didn't know her name until then. Thank you. I like to know people's names.
I don't like it.
Is he like obviously armed or?
Well, when you look down, yeah, you do see that he has
Yeah.
a knife there. It's kind of like a not like a combat knife, but just like a, you know, like one of those big F knives, like a survival knife.
Yeah. And yeah, I like, it's the obvious. I glance at the knife, I glance back up at him, and
What's your name?
what do you want? What do you want from us?
I didn't call you here, did I? Did I call you here?
God damn it.
You came. You came to where I live. Other people come. Sometimes I come and say hi, sometimes I don't. But I just got a bit bored of it. So I had a word with the guy who drives the boat. Turned into an argument. You know how those tour guides can be. They're so pushy, right?
All right, start taking steps backwards.
You go for a free breakfast and they're trying to sell you a timeshare. Don't you just wish you could? You ever fantasize about killing anyone, Patrick?
What are you even talking about?
I'm sorry, I talk a lot because I live here alone. So I talk to myself. I talk to other people occasionally, but they don't talk back for very long.
Oh my god.
I don't like it when people talk back.
I'm sure we can come to some kind of agreement here. Whatever, if we like disturbed your peace,
Do you know what I think is underappreciated?
What?
Like the offcuts of meat. Like everyone goes for just the prime cuts, you know, the loin, the ribs. When was the last time you had a tongue sandwich?
And I think I'm flashing back to the guy on the boat.
Yeah.
Right?
Are you trying to remember if he had a tongue now?
Yes, exactly. And I think it's it's too quick to really make out, right? When you have the movie later on, you could pause it and check it out. And I back further away and like I start like, well, I try to keep him in my vision, but like looking for a probably like way to get away or like starts coming for me, and I say,
you wanna try some?
Whatever, man. Yeah, no.
Yes or no? Which is it? Which is it, Patrick? Come on, make a decision. Make a choice. Be a man that Emma could be proud of. What do you say? And he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a tongue. And it is very clearly a human tongue.
I think this is when I try to tackle him, actually.
Yeah, okay, cool.
All right.
That's going to be desperate.
Yeah. And to be clear, the intent here is to tackle him, to run away from him, right? I think I'm just gonna, right. Yeah, and I'm going to push myself into a panic
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah. So that is going to be a desperate roll.
Yeah. Okay, so it's 2d6.
Yep.
It's a 6.
It's a 6. Okay, cool.
6, yeah.
So he's not expecting you to go for him at all. What do you do?
I basically shoulder him into his midsection, so that he goes down. I go kind of down with him. But keep rolling over, and then running from him.
You're going to run away. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's cut back to Emma on the beach. You're getting that call from Sarah. Do you answer?
Yeah. She just answers in a panicked hurry. Hello, what, Sarah?
Hey, look, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have sent that text earlier. I feel bad. It was shitty. I was in a bad mood. I was a little drunk. Can we talk? Do you have time to talk?
No, I don't. I'm.
Okay, well, fine. Like, if you're going to be like that.
Sarah, no, there's an emergency.
What sort of emergency?
I am.
Where are you? I'm coming to the hotel.
No, I'm not at the hotel. We're on an island. I need you to go to my email, get the number of the saboting agency, and call them. I need help.
What do you need help with? What's happening?
Someone's trying to kill us.
What? Okay, actually, I don't think we even get that. I think we go from the someone's trying to kill us to cutting back to Patrick running through the woods. Patrick, you are running through the woods, and you come across you're not really sure what its original purpose was, but it's a building. It's kind of like a building made out of like corrugated iron. Looks like it might have almost been kind of like, it's just like out of sheets. It's kind of like a metal bivouac, but it's big. There's like a few bits of brick here and there, and it's just been made out of whatever could be found. What do you do?
I mean, I think I run into there, right? I think I'm.
Yeah, you do. It's a horror movie.
Yeah. Where else should I go?
Okay.
And I'm thinking, like, I need something, like, to defend myself, and this looks like civilization.
Yeah. Okay, so you run inside, and the first thing that hits you is the smell. It's just this deep, irony butcher smell. And then the next thing that hits you is the flies, and just how many of them there are. And there is an old tin bath there, kind of in the center of the room, and it's just like the tin bath that the fish was laid out in. And there is one of the couple that you drove out, that you've sailed out with earlier, laid out dead in the bath, and they are being drained of their blood into the bath. What do you do? Other than flash back to the unfortunate fish.
Yeah, and back up against the wall and just stare at this in horror for a moment. But I think then I see like one of those butcher hooks that's not used.
Yeah.
And I pick that up and grip it. And then try to be super quiet and listen. And move stealthily out of that room.
Okay. That's going to be a tense roll, I think.
Oh, I'm already at 10.
Oh, no, it has to be desperate, doesn't it? So you can't really stealth out of that room. You'd have to...
Yeah, that's true. I need to play this. And I think I know what it is. It's it's I grabbed the hook, and I think, yeah, I think what it does is I try to go further through the back door or whatever is at the end of that room, and I tilt over a couple of things and scramble for like their belongings, but I'm like pushing stuff off of the table, and it's
making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Okay. And as you do head out the back door, push your way through, and the guy is right there because he heard you. What do you do? Has to be desperate.
I go again for him, but this time he's expecting this.
Yep. Okay.
But I've got a purchase hook.
Yeah. And your anxiety is full, so it has to be a single dice as well. And I would like to point out that you're on 4 hope and 4 despair, as often happens in these situations. So this is a make or break roll.
And it's a 4.
It's a 4. Okay, so you see him there, and you don't have time to think. You just act, and you swing at him with this meat hook, and he heads towards you with his knife. And the blade goes into you, and you feel this. You feel the pressure, first of all, kind of feels like being punched, but then you feel the release of the pressure and just the most pain that you've ever felt. And you can feel the knife inside you, and you feel the warmth coming out, and you haven't hit him. But then you kind of look down, and you see what's happened, and there's just this moment where you just snap, and he's right next to you because he's just stabbed you, and you just bring the meat hook down again and again and again. Emma, where do we find you, say, 10 minutes later?
I think she's relayed what's going on to Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
And she's put her trust in Sarah to get them some help. So she has just shoved her phone back in her pocket, and she's holding the axe, in her 2 hands strong, and she's going to run back into the woods, just like harshly whispering, just Patrick, where are you? Just like trying to find him. Because she didn't see that shed when she was running through.
Yeah.
So she's just trying to find him.
You come across it, and we have a shot of just the pure mess that is left of the stranger, and Patrick bleeding out, not dead, but just kind of like hacking breaths, barely conscious. And how do you react?
Yeah, she's still holding the axe tight. She runs over to him and just pushes the stranger away, with all the strength she has, and is just trying to hold on to Patrick. Oh, Patrick, what happened? Holy shit. Come on, stay with me. We gotta get out of here. She's just trying to keep him awake.
And as we cut from, we have a lingering shot of you trying to keep him awake, him not really responding, and just this kind of hacking, deep, kind of like struggling breaths.
It's like one bloody hand that goes out to her cheek.
Of course.
Yes. And it's the hand that has the wedding ring on it as well.
Of course.
And then we have an aerial shot of the island and the boat heading towards it. And on the boat there's the pilot, there's some police, and there's also Sarah. And there we cut it. We cut to credits, and we fade to black. Thank you very much. Thank you for playing.
It was so good. Oh my god, that was so intense.
That was a good session. Thank you very much.
There were parts during that, Ollie, and my heart was genuinely racing, and I was stressed out. Which doesn't, I mean, Matthias has played enough with me to know that doesn't happen a lot to me. I'm usually cool as a cucumber with these games, but I was nervous.
It is a manipulative game, but hopefully in a fun way, in the way that a horror movie is manipulative.
Yes.
I got very strong Eden Lake and Wolf Creek vibes from it, which are two of my favorite horror movies.
Eden Lake, especially. Yeah.
Oh, that was so.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how you map the super player empowered blades mechanics and get this kind of this tension out of it and the snowball. I really love it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Well, I had a lovely time playing. If anyone's watching this and wants to play this too, it's on Kickstarter at the minute, so you can go and pick yourself up a PDF or a soft or hardcover there. They're all available there.
Yeah, if you're in chat, I just posted the link for you. It will be in the link in the YouTube description. I'll have it posted up there. Yeah, Ollie, thank you so much for agreeing to come do this. And this was a wonderful game. Everyone should definitely back this on Kickstarter, especially if you like horror and if you like one-shot scenarios. You know, if you don't have the time or reliable meeting every week. Just a great pickup one-shot game. This is great.
Thank you.
Ollie has a lot of scenarios in the Kickstarter as well. If you want to run, you're low on ideas, you can sort of run these sort of preset scenarios for you, and they all look amazing. So, but yeah, we can do outros, say our goodbyes. Matthias, if you want to go first.
Yeah, sure. You can find me at mthsblgr on Twitter, and I'm still trying to catch myself. Yeah, tomorrow for the Open Shadows campaign on off_the table, Sun Going at the Claiming, as well as on Friday, and then on Analysis channel on Saturday.
Did you almost give your G+ address then? Is that what you call yourself doing?
No. It is
okay.
It is my Twitter.
Cool.
And the other was the channel I'm on tomorrow. Yeah.
If there's anything else you want to plug or talk about, Ollie, feel free.
No, I think if people like that, then please go check out the Kickstarter. I would very much value your support. A lot of very exciting scenarios in there. They're written by a bunch of very, very exciting people. So we've got Jason Morningstar, Alex Roberts, Misha Bushiger, Brandon Leon Gambetta. There's too many people for me to remember now, but everyone is fabulous. And we have one last scenario stretch goal to unlock by Grant Howard of Honey Heist. Although I promise there will be no bears or thievery involved. He's going to write something that it absolutely suits us. So yeah. And my Twitter is O Jeffrey. That's OJEFFERY. But if you search for Sinister Beard on Twitter, then it will come up as well. It's Sinister Beard because of this ridiculous thing.
It was so great to have you, and thank you, Matthias, for playing as well. You know where to find me online. I'm Katie. We'll be back. I'll be on Off the Table tomorrow playing San Guajona. We'll be back here Monday. We won't have a game this Saturday. I'll be on Roll for Change playing a charity game for Women in Tabletop Month. But thank you so much for tuning in. Like I said, this will be up on YouTube later, and I hope everyone goes and backs this wonderful game. And we will see you later. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.